Hello everyone, it's Junie checking back in with all of you. I just wanted to take a peek at a comparison synastry chart of Michael Vaughan and Sarah Wondra. I have already shown you a comparison synastry chart of Stacy and Michael's crime chart. And now I'm going to show you a synastry chart of Sarah Wondra and little Michael Vaughan's crime chart, the day that he went missing between the times of 6:30 and 7 p.m. As you know, Sarah is the wife of Stacy Wondra. He's the one that is
Wondra, who was once a prime suspect in
Vaughan.
Vaughan's disappearance, guiding detectives to where he says he saw Michael's body buried.
Like underneath the dirt mound area.
And about where he's standing?
Yeah, a little bit less, like closer to the house.
So that little clip was of Stacy Wondra, who is a suspect in Michael Vaughan's disappearance, telling the detectives that he witnessed Sarah burying Michael in his backyard. He says it was a lie, that all this is just, he made the story up because he was hungry and he was tired and they bullied him into the false confession. Regardless if it's a false confession or not, they still did find evidence in the backyard, anomalies in the backyard of that the ground was disturbed and that the cadaver dogs tested positive for human decomposition in the backyard. So regardless if Stacy lied or not, it's, we don't know. It's a very confusing case. So this is Brandy Neal, who is the mother of Michael Vaughan, who has been absolutely torn apart by this case, by these suspects that just continue to play games with her and their family. This is a little picture of Brandy telling the world that she has met with law enforcement and, that she is telling us that charges are coming for these suspects, that things are going to happen. Something's coming to fruition soon, is what Brandy was saying here in this video clip. So I just wanted to take a look at Sarah Wondra's natal chart on top of Michael Vaughan's crime chart. And what we look for in synastry charts is we look to see what matches up. Now, a lot of people like to do synastry charts for marriages and relationships to see if, you're meant to be together. You usually take both partners' natal charts. But I'm doing this a little bit differently because this is crime. Remember, I do criminal astrology. That's what my topic of interest is criminal astrology. So I'm taking the synastry chart and I'm looking at the more sinister aspects of astrology and seeing if they match up. We look to see if the sun matches up. We look at the IC line. We look at the MC line. We look at the AC line, especially because it rules the victim. The DC line, especially because it rules the open enemy to the victim. We look at the IC line because that is the root of the matter, how everything turns out for the victim at the end. The environment surrounding the victim at the end, the emotions that were surrounding the victim at the end of the matter is the IC line. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's where the victim's at. It just means that's the surrounding circumstances at the end of the matter for the victim. There can be some clues in the IC line about the victim. But most importantly, we look to see if the sun matches up with the ruling planet of the victim. We look to see if the par of fortune matches up. We look to see if the North Node matches up because the North Node rules the destiny of these two individuals. So we're looking at a suspect and a victim's crime chart and seeing what matches up. Okay, here we go. Let's look at it. Okay, so this is the blue chart in the middle is Sarah Wondra. It's her natal chart. Now, I did not have the exact time of her birth, but I was able to match her AC lineup with her asteroid name placement. So I give it, that she was probably born either in the morning, maybe earlier than noon, or a little bit after noon. that's me hypothetically guessing. So I don't have her exact time of birth, but I'm using noon, which is when the moon is at basically 90 degrees, okay? So when there's a certain time frame that the moon is at a 90-degree angle in the sky. So that's why I'm using noon. Some astrologers can use 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning when the sun is coming up, when, things are meeting up with the rising sign, coming to light. But I'm using noon because of the asteroid placement. The name asteroid placement, Sarah, is riding the AC line. So this is representing her to some degree in the first house. The first house of your natal chart is the face that you show the world. It represents self. It represents, the body, the person, okay? And what they present to the world, who they are to the world, right? So right off the bat, her sun sign, no matter what time she's born, her sun sign is going to be Pisces. So we want to match up her sun sign to the victim's ruling planet on the crime chart. If you remember, on the crime chart, Michael Vaughan is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is ruling Michael Vaughan the day that he goes missing, between the timestamps of 6 and 7. He goes into Capricorn a little later as well, but at this particular time, at 6:40, on his crime chart, PM, and on Sarah Wondra's natal chart at noon, her sun sign matches up with the victim, including the victim's DNA asteroid, which rules just that: blood, hair, skin, nails, things like that. So to me, that's very suspicious that she is matching up to the victim's ruling planet that was ruling him the day that he went missing, during an important time frame that he went missing. Her natal sun matches up with his ruling planet the day that he went missing. So that doesn't look good for Sarah. Now again, Sarah is always given the presumption of innocence. She has not been charged with the disappearance of Michael. She is just listed as a suspect, a neighbor that, had cadaver dogs test positive for human decomposition in her backyard. Her husband made the false confession, but, then he brags that he passed his lie detector test. So if you're making a false confession, then your lie detector test should also be a fail, but he brags and says that he passed his lie detector test. So to me, it means he's telling the truth. Whatever he told them in there, he was telling the truth. If he did pass his lie detector test, that he saw Sarah bury Michael in the backyard. That's what he told them. Those are the kinds of questions they would have asked him, right? So it's very, very confusing. So that does not look good, that Sarah's sun matches up to the victim's ruling planet and the victim's DNA. It puts her with the victim, because that's her. The sun is her. The par of fortune is also her. The sun sign can also represent Michael's life force on the red chart. So remember, the blue chart is Sarah, the red chart is Michael. So the other part that we'll look at is the AC line. Like I said, on the AC line, I do have Sarah's asteroid showing up, conjunct Chiron on the AC line. The AC line is in blue, so that's representing Sarah as well. So the sun represents Sarah, and the AC line represents Sarah. So there's multiple parts on each chart that represents victim and suspect, okay? The AC line is the face that she greets the world with. It is her physical body, herself, okay? So it has her name there that backs up that the astrology is telling us, the astrology is talking. You just need to learn how to listen to it. And I am still learning how to listen to it. There are some things that I miss, but this you can't miss, okay? Because you have Sarah, her AC line that has a wound that never heals. So that means she had some childhood trauma probably. She suffered a wound herself that never heals. But it is directly conjunct Michael's north node. His north node rules his destiny. Michael's destiny, ruled by Gemini, has 2 people there affecting his destiny. In the 6th house, which is his health, conjunct Sarah in hidden secret enemies. So Michael's destiny, we have Sarah basically as she's right on that cusp of the AC line, the 1st house and the 12th house. So we also have Nemesis, we have Algol, both conjunct Ceres, which has to do with children and how you raise children and how you care for children, is there as well. Black Moon Lilith with conjunct Nemesis, that is terrible. That is a secret sexual desire. We have Stacy there. We have Sarah there as secret enemies to Michael's health and to Michael's destiny. Also, with a wound that never heals, okay? That looks terrible. So I'm not an expert astrologer, but right there between the Sarah and Michael's north node is very important on synastry charts, okay? Even in your marriage, if we're doing a synastry chart for marriage, it's very important, okay? So if you look, Sarah's north node, okay, so Michael's north node is, has a conjunction to Sarah's wound that never heals. And Sarah's north node has a conjunction to Michael's wound that never heals. Okay? Can't make that up. That looks terrible for Sarah. And it's in the sign of Aries, which rules, I'm sorry, but it rules either an accident, an injury, a wound that never heals, a head wound. It's not good. It's a wound that never heals, okay? In the house for Michael, it's in travel. The moon is also represented by Michael, and that is also conjunct with Neptune there in Pallas Athena. Sarah's par of fortune, which is another part of this astrology that matches Sarah as well, okay? So this looks terrible as a synastry chart. This really does not look good. Okay, so the Algols are matching up. Now remember, Sarah was born in in the 80s, and this crime chart is from 2021. So this is years and years apart, and these things are matching up. Okay, so it's significant. It should really hit home to you that this puts Sarah very close to the victim, directly in front of the victim, as far as I'm concerned, especially with her sun sign on top of the victim's ruling planet. In my opinion, now I'm sure another astrologer will come along and probably try to debunk me. I don't really care. This is what I see. This is not good for Sarah, okay? Of course, I'm not an expert, but you can see these things matching up that are very negative, that should not be matching up. If a person is innocent, these things should not match up, okay? It just looks really terrible. I'm trying to tiptoe around this as best as I can because I don't want to accuse Sarah, but I also want to let you know that she looks like shit, okay? She really does. She looks like crap on this chart. All right, let's keep going. Now again, I don't have Sarah's exact time of birth, but, there are certain planets that move slow, and there are certain planets that move fast. There are certain asteroids that move slow, and there are certain asteroids that move fast, okay? And remember, this is a crime chart from 2021, and then a natal chart from the 1980s when she was born, okay? Because she was born in the 80s. All right, so the other part that I'm seeing that is alarming to me is Sarah and Ixion. Ixion had a belief where he believed wholeheartedly into something. So, it goes in with that whole religious thing of Sarah. And then I have another asteroid named by the name of Sarah that is conjunct on Michael's AC line, okay? Okay, sorry, my microphone. Okay, so remember, the AC line in red represents Michael. He's being ruled by Jupiter, right? So that's why I'm saying it's alarming. I have circled Jupiter and Sarah's sun. So because that's her sun all day. No matter what, she's born as a Pisces that day, depending on the time. So that's alarming. Here's what Ixion is, okay? In a crime, he means something different in your natal chart. Remember, we're looking at a crime chart, all right? A crime chart against a suspect's natal chart. Okay, so remember, Michael is in red. It's right conjunct on his AC line at the time of his disappearance, okay, between 6:30 and 7. I have Sarah, the asteroid Sarah, conjunct Michael's Ixion. So, there's a couple of definitions of Ixion. One is a belief system, a religious belief system, conjunct Sarah, which if you know anything about Sarah, and if you watched any of her TikTok videos, she is in euphoria about religion. So I think she has a very unhealthy, relationship with religion. It's not the healthy kind. It's the Piscean kind, which can be a little fanatical sometimes. So we got to watch some of our Pisces if they get really religious. We should watch some of our Sagittarians too. If they get really religious, they can really go overboard with it and it can become unhealthy, right? Not that I'm saying religion is bad or God is bad. I love God. God is my homie. Jesus is my homie. But what I'm saying is that there are people who can get really fanatical about something, and that can be Pisces, and that can be, Pisces is a two fish. Think about, Jesus was a Pisces. Jesus was born a Pisces. So supposedly, the research I've done, the fish represents Jesus, right? So, they can get a little out of touch with reality sometimes if they wholeheartedly believe in something, and if they're unbalanced, it can become unhealthy. Okay, of course, all signs have that. All right, every sign has that. I could become very fanatical as well if I totally believed in something, and any sign can become fanatical. That's not what I'm saying. But the ninth house does rule religion, and Pisces can be kind of like where things get a little foggy and get a little confusing. So we just have to kind of keep an eye on them. That's all. But I have known a few Pisces that have become very religious, and usually there's a sign of mental illness attached to that, and they become really obsessed with Jesus and God and have this unrealistic viewpoint of religion. And I've seen it with Sagittarians and I've seen it with Pisces. I'm not saying anything bad about Sagittarians or Pisces. I'm just saying they kind of mess with our belief system, and if they're unhealthy or unbalanced, it can get out of control. That's all I'm trying to say. But all signs have this, are capable of this. Okay? All right, let's keep going, because Sarah is conjunct Michael's AC line. The AC line rules Michael. Ceres is smack dab on Michael's AC line. Ceres rules children, okay? How we bring in the harvest. It's not the best for Ceres to be right there. Sarah's Ceres to be on Michael's AC line, okay? And Uranus is there. Uranus, which is the planet of shocking, unexpected events. This to me means that Sarah, in her childhood, she has a strange relationship probably with her adopted parents. Even in her relationships, she could do anything for her significant other, kind of a thing. Go over the top with her significant other as well. With Ceres and Uranus, just kind of, yeah. And Sarah is there. It's definitely affecting her relationships with others. And it just so happens that it's conjunct Michael's victim line. That AC line rules Michael. And it's not good that the planet of accidents and shocking events is there as well, playing in the mix. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to go up back to back to Pluto for Michael Vaughan in Capricorn. That's not the best. Pluto is the planet of death, transformation, other people's money, inheritance, things like that. And it's conjunct Sarah's Juno, which again stands for our relationships with others. So that could be a power dynamic in a relationship. So I just wanted to point that out, that they're conjunct as well. Pluto on a crime chart can represent a death, can represent a serious transformation that a victim is under. Okay, let's keep going down. I'm going to go down to where also her moon in Juno. So that's emotions with a relationship that's hidden, secret relationship with emotions that's hidden in Michael's secret enemy of Juno as well. So that's interesting with the Junos on both charts. Her Juno and Michael's Juno. Okay, so moving down, again, I don't have her exact time of birth, but these are two asteroids that are conjunct. Pallas Athena, it would be Sarah's Pallas Athena, which is that little triangle with the little line, who represents independence, freedom, justice, things like that. And it is conjunct a nemesis for Michael in the community, because it's in the nemesis. There's an enemy to Michael in his local community, in his, it can rule friend groups and it can rule the local community, or the community of his neighborhood, basically, where Fruitland. There's an enemy to Michael. And I would say that this, with it being conjunct with Sarah, she might have had a bit of a awakening of some sort, that she needed to behave a certain way, portray a certain way to not look involved, where she had like a wake-up call, where she made an actual effort to not look like this child's enemy. Okay, if we keep going down, I have, there's a fixed star that matches Michael's fixed star in Libra. And then there's DNA for Sarah, and it's conjunct Sarah. So I could look at this as this natal chart is matching up to Sarah to some degree, or I could look at it as Michael, part of Michael. Sarah is conjunct Michael's Vesta, which rules his eternal flame, the hearth, the home. Michael's eternal flame is conjunct Sarah, which is conjunct on the blue chart DNA. That looks not so good either. But that Vindemiatrix fixed star is an evil star. They say Vindemiatrix is just as evil as Algol. And we know how evil Algol is. He's a demon star. And this can also mean possibly a spouse could have an early death on a natal chart, but on a crime chart, it can mean that there is some fucked up shit afoot, basically. Just some messed up stuff, like just an early death. It can mean that they're really right on top of each other too. That's really weird. I don't know, Sarah might have a spouse might pass away a little early in life. But on a crime chart, it can mean that, that there's something very mischievous about Michael. There's something mischievous here because her Vindemiatrix is in the 5th house, which rules children. And for Michael, it's in his 9th house, which rules long-distance travel, religion, the whole God complex, and it's in Libra. So that's relationships with others, and Libra also rules your enemies. So Libra can rule your open enemy. And Sarah is in there with Vesta for Michael, all in that red. There's Sarah, Vindemiatrix, and Vesta, all clumped together there as a stallion. That's not good, okay? And what else isn't good is Sarah's IC line and her fourth house, her third house, her second house, her third house, and her fourth house. Just to close this video out, looks awful too, okay? Nessus is an attack. It is conjunct Mars and Venus. That's male, that's female. Venus can rule a female. Mars represents, can rule a car. That there's an attack with either a vehicle. There's an attack with either a head injury. Lots of cuts and scrapes and bruises all over the body. It rules Mars. It can be an accident, or it can actually be murder, okay? And it's conjunct her Nessus, which means a physical attack. And in that physical attack, if you know the story of Nessus and Hercules, it's pretty sad. So it does involve children. So yeah, that's not good either. We keep going closer to her IC line. It's completely conjunct Michael's par of fortune. And the par of fortune is basically, the par of fortune is the sun, the moon, and the sun, the moon, and the rising sign all conjunct together. So that represents Michael too, to some degree, okay? Or the outcome of the situation that Michael was in at the end of the matter. So Michael is there at the end of the matter on the IC, which is the end of the matter, the root of the matter, the emotions surrounding the end of the matter, and it's conjunct Sarah. So again, this is not good for Sarah. It does not look good. Well, Sarah's IC, which is her fourth house, has that she's Nessus, okay? Opposite, conjunct Michael's Mars, which rules car accidents and murder, conflict, anger, rage. Sarah and Stacy are in this house, okay? Next to the par of fortune, I have the vertex in there, and I have the sun, which can also be Michael's life force, okay? And the par of fortune is in there. The sun can be an older man, over 29 years old, but the sun can also be a life force. Mercury is there, two people, and then I have matching up Castor and Pollux, which are the Gemini twins. So, two people involved. More than one person involved for sure. But that par of fortune represents Michael, and it is smack dab on her IC line, which is the root of the matter. Okay? In the womb and in the tomb, I have Sarah's IC line in the womb and the tomb, conjunct Michael's par of fortune. That looks terrible. That looks really bad. Okay? So, of course, we are going to give Sarah the presumption of innocence. She has not been charged with anything. She has not been found guilty of anything. She is in prison on other charges that have nothing to do with Michael. But she is listed as a prime suspect in Michael Vaughan's disappearance. I'm sure there's going to be other astrologers that might disagree with me. That's fine. This isn't me making a prediction. This is me looking into the past. I do struggle with making predictions in astrology. I'm still very new at astrology. I still have a lot to learn. But and reading Synastry charts is hard. Reading composite charts can be difficult for someone that's just starting out. I did do a composite chart as well for Sarah and Michael, and it's not good either. But, it's just, in my opinion, she doesn't look good. In my opinion, I would be very suspicious of her. But that's just my opinion, and opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. And I'm just learning astrology, so this is my astrological opinion, is I don't think that she looks very good. That's just my opinion. And she is given the presumption of innocence always. And blessings to you all. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Blessed be. I will be in touch soon with more about Michael. And let's not forget, the maps map out Stacy and Sarah. The maps map them out. The astrology, location astrology maps that we do has mapped out every place that they've been. And that's weird. If they weren't involved, then it shouldn't be tracing them or tracking them the way that it is. And it's tracking them. Even tracked out their trip when Stacy went out to go see his dad. track that too. So that's weird. I'm very suspicious of them. They look very suspicious. I'm not saying they're guilty. I'm saying that we should be very suspicious. That's all. All right. Blessed be. Bye-bye now. Take care.